Our next unit of study will be on the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and a few of their interesting contributions to the New Age. The Order of the Golden Dawn was originally the most famous of the mystery lodges to develop. It still is quite infamous, but it does not possess the elite membership it once prided itself on. Many of the cult leaders of the 19th and 20th centuries were involved with the lodge, and the Golden Dawn also possessed ties to Rosicrucianism and Freemasons. Although some of the most famous of magical workings erupted from the Golden Dawn tradition, most of the highly involved operations were purposely designed to be complex and confusing. Crypticism is usually used for one purpose, keeping the dabblers and the merely curious from understanding the core principles and whatnot. And one of the Golden Dawn's founding fathers really was MacGregor Mathers, the man responsible for the translation and publication of some of the more core grimoires in ceremonial magic, such as Keys of Solomon, Goetia, and of course the Sacred Book of Magic of Abramelin and the Mage. Israel Regardie and Aleister Crowley were both esteemed members of the Golden Dawn. Both made literary contributions to the Sorcerer's Library. To be fair, Crowley ended up basically taking the work and publishing it as his own and making many modifications to it. And then Regardie later went and republished all of the core systems of the Golden Dawn, and to clarify, basically, to put it out in its original form. The Golden Dawn also interpreted source materials of Enochian magic, as explored in later lessons in this series. Curiously, though, the Golden Dawn, they didn't always know what to do with most of the knowledge they were coming across, and they offered guidelines and suggestions for Enochian practice, most of which was theoretical. And Crowley later went forth and documented his experiences in the vision and the voice, but there are other non-Golden Dawn forms of Enochian magic now studied to date that is considered more accurate, since the Golden Dawn seem to have made some errors in their translation and use of Enochian magic, but still apparently useful enough for Crowley to figure it out. The Golden Dawn was responsible for one other feat also. They gave extensive study to the practical Kabbalah from the Jewish system. It's a form of mysticism related to the magic of the Old Testament. It significantly relies on the use of Hebrew names of God, the Tetragrammaton, and that idea of the true unspeakable name of God and the breath and the word. What we'll do is we'll talk about some of the more common, heavily used practices of the Golden Dawn tradition. The system that it is set within is so vast because of the ceremonialism involved that really a student can get lost in just the glamour of the ceremonialism and all of that. So it's something maybe to come back to later as far as the in-depth part of it, beyond what we cover here, if you plan to go back to it at all. There is a version of the book The Golden Dawn produced by Llewellyn, which can be useful and is exceptionally valid. You might find more use out of another of his books called The Complete System of Golden Dawn Magic, which lays it out in a little bit more of a usable, readable form, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. It's interesting, sometimes the Golden Dawn confuses even itself. At some points it seems Gnostic, and other points very Christian or pagan, and other points very Western, and other points very Eastern. There is a lot more information available than could really be realistically used, in my opinion. But if you want to study it objectively, there is that Golden Dawn system. And you may also, for the more philosophical ends, wish to look at Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, if this type of thing is your thing. What we'll start with, though, is the final real famous contribution that the Golden Dawn made was the publicity behind the system of divination known famously as the tarot. And the Rider-Waite deck that the modern tarot is mostly based off of is specific to the Golden Dawn system. So we'll get into that.